Today we're going to be looking and working on Chapter 12, Lesson 9. Today's lesson involves volume of prisms. I'm going to first look here at the definition of what volume is. It's the amount of space inside a three-dimensional figure. You can use either formula below to find the volume of a prism. So in order to find the volume, we're going to take the length times the width times the height, okay? Or we can take the base times the height. When we measure prisms, or volume, in general, we will use cubic inches, cubic feet, cubic yards, cubic centimeters, or cubic meters. So I will show you how to write that here in a minute. So again, when we're doing volume, we're doing the inside of something, okay? So example 1 says that on his family vacation to the beach, Armando filled a cooler with water and snacks. Find the volume of the cooler. Over here is the cooler. So you can take a look here. Again, remember, we're going to use the formula of length times width times height. So we've got the length, which is 30. That's how long it is. The width, which is how deep it is, 15. And the height is 20. So in order to do this, we're going to do 30 times 15 times 20. So I'm going to go ahead and write that in here. 30, 15, and 20. And so now we can multiply. The very first thing that I would do is 30 times 20. I would do this simply because those zeros, there's 2 zeros, because remember, we're doing 3 times 6, and we're going to add our 2 zeros. So we know that 30 times 20 is 600. And now we can go ahead and do 600 times 15. So if I wanted to, I could do 16 times 5. Let's look at it like this. Might be a little bit easier to see. If I do that, I can just go ahead and put my zeros down. 5 times 6 is 30. Carry my 3. 6 times 1 is 3 plus, 6 times 1 is 6 plus 3 is 9. So I can get 9,000, which is 9,000. And another way is I can do base times height. So in order to find the base, we would basically multiply the length times the width. So if you take a look here, the base is the length times the width, and then multiply it times the height. So the length times the width, 30 times 15, again, I could put my 0 there and do 5 times 3 is 15, 450. And I could do 450 times the height, which is now 20. So you're going to notice I'm going to get the same answer. So I'm going to do it up here. 450 times 20. I can do my 2 zeros. And now I can multiply 45 times 2, which is 10. 9,000 I would get. Now, either way works best. In my personal opinion, I prefer to do all 3 numbers multiplied times each other. That way I don't forget. But you can always multiply the length times the width, get your answer, and then multiply it times the height. Now, earlier I did tell you about the label on these. It's going to be cubic. So we can write the word cubic out, or let me show you another way to write that is, since we're doing inches, we can write it like this: inches cubed. So on our answers today, they must have a little 3 hanging up on top, or else you have to have the word cubic written with them. Okay? Let's go on to the next page. Remember at the top it says that the associative property of multiplication tells you that the way in which factors are grouped does not change the product. You can group the factors to make the multiplication easier, and that's what I did on the previous page. So let's go ahead and practice that right now. Find the volume of the prism. So here's the prism. We have 9, 17, and 7. In order to solve these, we're going to multiply all 3 numbers. So they are telling us we're going to multiply 17 times 7 times 9. Now, according to this, we can do this the easiest way that's going to be best for us. I personally would not multiply 9 and 7 together because I know that I'm going to get a 63, which is a 2-digit. And that would then mean we have to do 2-digit times 2-digit. So let's try this. Let's do 7. Oh, sorry, my pencil, the lead broke. Let's try 9 times, I'm really having a hard time with this pencil lead, aren't I? 9 times 17 times 7. Okay, so again, it doesn't matter which. I just wanted to make sure that one of my one-digit numbers goes out here. That way I'm not going to multiply a two-digit times this answer, which will be a two-digit. So I wanted to do a two-digit number times a one-digit number. So I'm going to keep my 9 right here, and I'm going to do 17 times 7 over here. And I'm going to get 119. And now that I've got 119, now I can multiply that by 9, and this should be easier to do. 9 times 9 is 81, carry the 8. 9 times 1 is 9 plus 8 is 17. So I got 1,071. So the volume of the prism is 1,071 cubic centimeters. Okay, let's practice a couple more. Find the volume of this prism. So again, I'm not going to want to put these two next to each other because guess what? This is going to equal a two-digit number, and then I'm going to have to do two-digit times two-digit. So I'm going to use, again, the associative property to help me. So I'm going to do 11 times 9 times 7. So I want to do these two first because I can do that mentally. It's 99. So 99 times 7. 9 times 7 is 63, carry the 6. 63 plus 6 is 69, 693 millimeters cubed. Next problem. Okay, the next problem looks a little different because you're going to notice that we have some extra numbers. This base 24 feet is telling us that this, if I multiplied 6 and 4, it gives me 24. So instead of doing 4 times 6 times 12, I can just replace that number with 24. Because remember, that's your base, and your height is 12. Okay, that's one way to do it. Now, unfortunately for this, it's going to give us two-digit times two-digit by doing it this way, which is fine. We can do it that way. Again, you don't have to do it this way. You can still just multiply all three of those numbers, but they wanted us to practice it this way on this one, so I will. 24 times 12. Okay. 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4. I'm going to put a 0 down. I'm going to carry now. 4 times 1 is 4. 2 times 1 is 2. I get 288. 288 feet cubed. All right, let's practice a couple more. We have 3, 2, and 8, 4. So I can do this mentally. 3 times 2 is 6, and 6 times 4 is 24. Now again, I got to put the right label. Since it's inches, we're going to do inches cubed. Okay. On the next one, we have 26, 12, and 3. So no matter which way I do this one, it's going to give me a two-digit. I'm going to have to multiply two-digit times two-digit. So the easiest thing for me is going to be to multiply these two because I can do that in my head. 12 times 3 is 36. So I'm going to do 36 times 26. 6 times 6 is 36. That's 18 plus 3 is 21. Remember, zip, zap, zoom. 2 times 6 is 12. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. 936. And again, I'm going to do centimeters cubed. All right. Let's go ahead and skip down to number 7. Number 7, they didn't give us the length and the width. Instead, they just replaced the length and the width with the base. Because remember, the other formula is we can always do base times height. So for number 7, we're just going to do 108 times 9. Okay, so I'm going to multiply this. 9 times 8 is 72. 0 times 9 is 7. Or 0 times 9 is 0, plus 7 is 7. 9 times 1 is 9. So we get 972. And again, we want to give it the right label, centimeters cubed. Okay? Your homework for today is basically doing exactly what we did. And remember, when we measure these, we're always measuring them in cubic units. So we need to make sure that we put cubic, whatever the measurement is, we put the cubic with it. Go ahead and get working. And if you have any questions, feel free to send me a message. This will be the last assignment that we have that will actually be graded. Okay? Thank you.